streaming from Facebook Live. Once I see it, I will repost it. I see it. Hey, I see myself. Now, do I hear myself? Do you hear me? Will you?
I can't hear you.
So exciting. We're going to give people a moment to get in there. Come on in, guys.
Isn't this exciting?
It is really exciting, actually.
Feels like I hadn't seen you in a while.
Face to face or otherwise.
Correct.
You've been out here being famous. That's why, though.
Oh, I'm trying to be like you, boo-boo.
Okay, I'm starting a watch party and I'm doing.
All right now. I don't know how to do that, but I can share it to my other page.
Yes, so people. Hello, people. Okay, leave. Okay. Then I can see what's going on. Okay, hi guys. Welcome. Come on in. Come on.
In the room.
Come on. In the room.
You better sing, girl. Yes.
Jesus,
make the ugly face.
My dog. Come on, guys. Come on in. This is a safe place.
Absolutely.
This is a safe place. We're so happy. Redalia, we see you. CJ, hello. How are you? I see Sonya T is watching. Hello.
Thank God she's watching.
Come on, share, like, subscribe, all of that language.
Yes, start a watch party.
Yes, do all of that. So we can go ahead and get you in and wave to us so we know who's in the room if we can't see you popping up. I see that there's some people in there. I'm just gonna give them a little more time, Elder.
Okay.
Auntie. So
that's
that we can
perfectly okay.
Do that. Hey, Redania. We are blessed and highly favored in the Lord. Redania says, how you doing?
Hey, Valerie Johnson. Hey, Mr. Lewis.
Carla
Clark.
How
are y'all?
Greetings.
Hey, Pastor Don. How are you, sir?
Yes.
Hey, cuz. Pam, how are you?
Yes.
You know, speak to my folk.
Yes. Come on, share, like, subscribe, do a watch party. Let's have some good conversation together.
Please. And I want you all to ask questions. Hey, John Bogus, how are you? Daphne Lattimore. Oh, that is the ultimate CEO coach.
Hello.
That is Daphne Lattimore. Hey. She has a business up in DC. Yes, she handles all of the C-suite people. Come on now. If you need a coach, you need a trainer, that's the one.
Come on, free advertisement. Yes.
Hey, Timothy. Thank you for letting me hang out with your wife for a little while. Hey, Dog Grubs. How are you? It's good to see all of you all tonight. I hope y'all got your questions. Yami has all of the answers.
Not today. Okay, so I think we have people in. So
okay, let's go.
We'll just go ahead and do the welcome. Greetings, grace and peace, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a magnanimous day. It's your girl, Yami, aka Yams Be Saying, and I just dropped my earring. Yams Be Saying, and I am doing a Can I Be Honest / Yams Be Saying takeover with the infamous, the great Sonya Cruel. Hello.
Hello, boo. How are you?
I'm super excited to have this opportunity to kind of welcome you all in to speak to us digitally with the great Sonya Cruel. And what I'm going to do is kind of give you guys who are connected to me an opportunity to get to know her before we kind of dive into the conversation, because I want you guys to understand that the conversation is coming from a wealth, someone who has a wealth of knowledge. Again, we want you guys to share, like, go ahead and subscribe, go to both platforms, but specifically to do a watch party with your friends, because this is a good conversation. We're talking about grief and COVID-19 with our residential expert. So, like I said, for those of you who may not be familiar, because this is being streamed on both pages, Sonya Cruel is a transition coach, also a licensed clinical social worker. That's MSW. My mommy's one too. Hi. She's a social worker with the Gwinnett County school systems, but prior to that, she was a director of social services and head of rape crisis for Grady Hospital. And she served there for about 18 years. Additionally, she is a grief, trauma, and bereavement coach. And this is how I got introduced to her. She is an ordained elder. So you might hear me call her auntie because she's one of my Georgia aunties, or you may hear me call her elder, but you won't hear me call her by her first name. Okay. So additionally, she is a proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho. Go ahead, do your thing. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead and get that out.
Oh, that's okay. You go ahead. Go ahead. Hey, Soros.
So for those of you who may know any members of SG Row, go ahead and let them know that their sister is out here speaking to their situation if needed be. So again, Elder Sonya, I've given people kind of a basic background on who you are, but if you could kind of introduce folks to you.
Okay. Like my niece said, I am Sonya Cruel. I am a person that loves people. I want people to be whole, not just in their physical body, but I want them to be whole emotionally. I want them to be whole financially. And I just want them to live their best life, whatever that is. It may not be the same as my life, but whatever your best life is, that's what I want you to do. And it's my job to help you do that. It's not my job to try to convince you to do it my way. As my mom used to say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Baby, there's more than one way to be happy. So the main thing is that you be happy in your skin, doing what you've been called or what you've been placed to do. So, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy having people over. I enjoy cooking. I just enjoy being around people and having conversation and learning different things.
That's wonderful. I don't know if y'all heard the analogy. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I forgot to mention that she is a Southern girl, born and bred in Augusta.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, if you know someone who's from Augusta, go ahead and like, share, let them know that their people is on and ready to give
their peoples. Yes.
So again, we're here to talk about grief and COVID-19 with the transition coach. I'm gonna go ahead and do a brief plug. Elder Sonya does have a book. She has two books. One of them is called Divorce in the Upper Room. I don't have a copy of that on me right now, but one of her more recent book is Transition. It talks about transition. Elder Sonya, if you would just give the people kind of a brief synopsis of.
Oh, absolutely. And it talks about whether you're transitioning from high school, you graduated, whether someone has died, whether you've recently gotten married. All of those are types of transition. And I'm not talking about moving from one chair to the next. I'm talking about life-changing things that have happened in your life. You've lost a partner after 25 years. You've retired after 25 years. What do you do next? How do you keep from living in the past? How do you move forward to your next? And that's what the book is about. It answers some of the questions, and then it poses questions to you so you can move forward.
Good. Actually, one of the things that one of my favorite chapters in the transition book deals with transition in children. And because we're talking about grief and COVID-19, and eventually we'll get into a conversation about how it affects children, one of your transition tips was giving your children an opportunity to share honestly and safely during your transition will increase the communication between you and other areas.
Absolutely.
I think that's extremely powerful. And I'm going to use that as a transition. You see what I did there? Into conversation. Grief and COVID-19. Again, if you haven't, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, share with someone else. Let them know that we're talking about grief and transition. So Elder Sonya, if you could please give us a working definition of grief.
So it's an emotional response to a loss. That's the simplest form definition that I can give you. It's something. It's your emotions when something has changed in your life that's major. Again, whether it's you are having to transition to this new way of life because of COVID, your kids are not able to see their teachers every day. Your kids are not able to play with their friends every day. There is some loss to that normal way, the way that used to be normal for us. That's a type of loss. Or someone you've been married to for 15 years, you're no longer married, whether by death or by divorce. That's a type of loss. So it has to do with emotions.
So I know that some people being me, would use a grief and kind of depression interchangeably. But can you kind of point us in a direction that gives us, is grief and depression the same thing? That's one.
Well, depression deals more, it's centered mostly on you and how you're feeling it, but grief focuses on that, whatever that loss is. So the focus for the grief is, so like when my mom died, my grief was focused on my mom. It wasn't necessarily focused on me. And when you're dealing with depression, it's generally internal. It's focusing on you. I can't do this. I can't go to work. I can't get my emotions in check. I can't. So it's dealing with internal stuff.
Okay, so while grief and depression kind of may manifest itself in similar ways, it's not
correct. No.
Okay.
No.
So what are some of the phases of grief?
Okay. So generally when we talk about, and since I have the social work background, I use Helen Kubler-Ross. She is, in my mind, our social workers. We use her stages. And you got to remember, when I give you these stages, they can come in no order. They can revisit themselves with you. So don't think because you went through one stage, that stage is over and you won't revisit that, because it's not true. The first stage is shock and denial. And I think the personal thing that I can use, when my mom died, I was like, she can't be dead. This can't be happening. I just cannot believe nope, they need to go back and recheck her. She can't be dead. That's shock and denial. I'm denial. And then the other one is anger. And then sometimes we can be angry at God. We can be angry at the person. We cannot believe he allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
And then the next one is bargaining. I tell you what, God, if you choose to let her live a little while longer, I'll go to church every Sunday. You begin to bargain with whoever, the one that's holding the power. And then there is some depression. There is a place where you are just so down. I tell this story a lot when I was going through my divorce. There was just a time when I was just really, really down, and I had part of my village came and said, okay, it's time. You're getting up out of this. We're going to do it. Let's go. And then the final stage is acceptance. Now, know that just because you accept it doesn't mean that you won't have a sad day. Doesn't mean that anger won't pop back up. It doesn't mean that you still may have some shock. For some people, grief it's a long process. So those are the stages, but they can come at any time.
So again, if you have any questions, you can feel free to put them in the comments. I'm still monitoring the comments. Elder Sonya is monitoring the comments. We have a third party, hey Danielle, who's also monitoring the comments. The stages of grief, as mentioned here by Elder Sonya, were shock and denial, one, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, and did I say depression, anger? Yeah. So those are the 5 main phases of grief. And Elder Sonya mentioned, and that was a part of my question too, that they don't come in a specific order. Can you further elaborate on that?
Absolutely. It's sort of like a bell curve. So the textbook says you're supposed to go like this. You're in shock and you're in denial, and then you move on through the phases. But in reality, it's like this. You're just all over the place, all of the feelings. They can all come at once, or they can come one by one, or even a year or two from now, you may have some unresolved grief. So it's not to say that a year you're done, you are just, you got yourself together. There may be you may be have gone back to work, you may be have functioning, but that doesn't mean that on Mother's Day I don't have a bad day. The first anniversary, the first Christmas without that person or that thing, the first Father's Day, that doesn't mean that I won't have a bad day. I remember I was the first Mother's Day when my mom died. I talk about it a little I think in one of the books. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't want to talk to no people. I don't care nothing about your mama, because my mom is not here.
No, that's right.
So that's how I was feeling. But I went to church anyway, and I was depressed the whole day. And it's okay. It is okay. You can't you need to deal with your emotions. You don't need to stuff them. You don't need to say, oh, I can't do that. It's been a year and I should be over it now. Well, no, I'm not saying that you should be still wallowing in your bed a year later, but you should, it's okay to cry.
That's a really good point, because I think sometimes, and for people, I really mean me, sometimes I might stay, I do think that things should happen in progression. So stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5. Hey, Miss Angie. And that's supposed to be kind of how it's supposed to go forward. So when I find myself going from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 and then back to stage 1 sometimes, I think I might look at it as a problem. But what you're saying, or to me, what I'm hearing is that that's natural. But
right. That may be something that's unresolved that you need to deal with. And sometimes people, it's okay to go to a therapist to help you process.
That's really
it's okay. Good. Sometimes if you feel like you're getting stuck, it's been a year and you still can't get yourself together, you still can't get up out of the house, you still can't go back to work, you may need a grief therapist to help you through the process.
That's a good point.
Perfectly okay.
Well, and that actually transitions to my next question, which is, what are some ways that grief manifests itself typically? And then we'll expound on how it might manifest in the frame of COVID-19.
Okay, so sometimes grief can make you feel sad. Sometimes grief can make you have some fear or some anxiety. Sometimes you can have some difficulty concentrating. You can have loss of memory. I remember when my sister died, and one of my coworkers, her mom came over to the house, and I said, I know that lady, but I cannot think of her name. I know who that lady is, but there was so much going on. I had a loss of who she was. I could not think of her name. Sometimes we can have denial. Sometimes we can be lethargic. We don't want to do anything. Sometimes we have difficulty sleeping or difficulty eating. It can just be any number of things. People grieve so differently. To say that you're going to experience these things and these things alone is not true. And I think we do people an injustice if we say you got to grieve this way. No, you got to grieve how you grieve.
That's good. And in the context of COVID-19, I know there are people who are, I would argue, are probably experiencing grief in different formats, right? For the seniors who are graduating, it's the grief of not getting to experience, senior year the way they may be anticipated. For people who have birthdays that kind of fall into that trajectory, that's the grief of not being able to, especially if it's a big birthday. You're turning 30, and you turn 30 within the context of COVID-19. It's not as great, especially if you're single and you don't live with anyone or something like that. Can you kind of speak to kind of how grief might manifest itself within the context of COVID-19 as well?
Absolutely. I think you can feel some of the very same things. I think you can feel some of the disappointment. I think you can feel some of the sadness. I think you can feel some of the emptiness when you're no longer able to be around the people that, you know, that you hang out with, your girls, in the physical, you know, like you can touch them. There may be some emptiness. There may be some sadness. There may be some guilt. You know, I should have done this. I should have, you know, I should have went over to mama's house when I had the chance. Now I can't go over there. There may be, you may be feeling powerless, like, you know, there is nothing I can do about this. But in the midst of it, somehow you have to come up with ways to overcome it. We have to change our perspective as it relates to COVID. It's not like we are in the hospital. It's not like we have died. It's just that our normal has changed. So we have to develop a new normal. We can't go hang out for my birthday. So we may have to do a virtual birthday.
Yeah.
We cannot go see grandmother in the nursing home. So we may have to do a drive-by. You know, you have to be creative on how you deal with this. We cannot allow this to take the place of our happiness. And even if you're dealing with people that are in the hospital or people that have been that are positive, not all of them die. We gotta get rid of that. Everybody that gets COVID dies. Not everybody dies.
I mean, and that's people, realistically, that's not what the news is showing us. So
correct, absolutely.
To the news is conflicting with the idea that there is a possibility to get over this kind of hump sometimes. It's not everybody dies.
Right. And I think we would do ourselves an injustice if we don't do our part. Now, that's not saying that you don't go out and you don't wear your mask or you don't do your social distancing or whatever that is, but you need to know that not everybody dies, and there are other things that you can do to this to me, this causes your creativity to come into play.
Absolutely.
Like when your baby had her birthday party.
Yeah.
You got to be creative and talk to your kids about what's happening. Talk in the language that they can understand. Don't try to say, oh, nothing's happening, we're just gonna stay home. Yeah, something else is happening. They're not in school. Why aren't they in school? You can explain it in a way that they can understand it, but make sure you're reassuring, letting them know that you are there for them. You are going to protect them to the best of your ability. And to the best of your ability, you're not going to let anything happen to them.
You know what? It's good that you said that, because it was actually a conversation that I think you had with Carla Clark. About, it was a brief interaction via social media, and I read a part that talked about making sure that you had a conversation with your kid about that, or how COVID-19 was experiencing those things. Because I think it's natural to just kind of, well, let's just pretend that everything is normal, but there's nothing about this common.
That's no
all year, and all of a sudden, you know, mommy and daddy are having to teach you. Like, that's not okay.
Right. Absolutely. We gotta be honest with our kids. As little Zachary walks in the room with a toy. Okay.
We have somebody who mentioned in the comments, said, my wife passed away March 21st, 2020. We were married for 31 years. Why is it now all of a sudden this week it feels like she just died? My grief is worse than it was in March. Could you kind of speak to that too?
Oh, absolutely, baby. You're so fresh. It's still new to you. You're gonna go up and down, and it's not gonna get better in about a month's end. It's just not gonna happen. I would encourage you to take it slow. Do what you need to do during this time. Reflect on the good times that you all had. Talk to your loved ones about the memories that you all shared. Don't allow it to get you in a place that you can't move through. And if you need professional help, make sure you get the help that you need. There is nothing wrong with that.
Right. Right. And I think what we'll do too is at the end of this, we'll probably put something with some numbers.
Absolutely.
So that people can kind of have.
And sir, for the one that has lost your wife, if you need to inbox me, I'll be happy to share some additional information with you, because it's hard. It's just, there is nothing about grief that's easy.
Right. And she actually discusses grief in her transition book. So that's another resource for you to maybe kind of pull from when you need it, but definitely the inbox, and we'll reach out to you specifically just to see how we can best serve you in this moment as
absolutely well. Absolutely.
So Elder Sonya, what I want to do too at this point, I had a conversation with someone who was talking about, you're very welcome, by the way, physical ailments that they were experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it and I was just kind of like, hey, yeah, let's pray about it, but let me go connect you with someone else. And then this person also mentioned something to this person about maybe seeking some professional assistance, like from a doctor or something like that, about it, like mental health and from a physical doctor. Can you kind of speak to kind of the physical symptoms and behaviors of grief again, as it relates to the context of COVID-19?
So for some of the ailments, there could be your stomach, it's hurting. You're not able to sleep, or you're sleeping too much, or you're eating too much. Oh yeah, yeah. So there could be any number of headaches, any physical thing, like you feel like you are you're having trouble breathing, some anxiety. So all of those things can be related to the change that you're going through the grief that you're experiencing. But know that if it gets too severe, you need to call your doctor.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
There could be appetite changes. You're eating too much, you're eating too little. You could be confused. You could be preoccupied with the news and how many people have died. I encourage you, pick a time. You're gonna watch the news for about 30 minutes and turn it off. You don't need to see anymore. It's still here. People are testing positive. People are living. People are dying. Yeah. So you don't need to listen to everybody's opinion, and listen to the doctors.
Yeah.
Listen to what the MDs are saying, please.
Right.
There could be some social withdrawing, anything could be a part of what's going on with you physically. So don't beat yourself up over it. Don't say, I shouldn't be doing this, or that shouldn't be happening to me. Why shouldn't it be?
Yeah. It's a normal response to an abnormal situation.
Right. So one of the things I said is people grieve very differently depending on culture and tradition, faith and belief, gender, circumstances surrounding the loss, and support from family and friends. So you're going to grieve very differently if you have no support versus if you have support.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. Keep talking on that.
Can I say that you need a village during this time? Don't think, and why should you go at this alone? You need to have somebody that you can call and say exactly how you feel, and they won't judge you. They won't hold it against you, and they'll still be your friend the next day. That's like good. I said, when I went through the divorce, it was very traumatic for me, because I thought, we're gonna change the world. He a pastor. We just gonna do things for the body of Christ. And then he up and said he wanted a divorce. Girl, I was just floored. But I had friends that let me be sad for a while, be depressed for a while, and then they came and said, okay, it's time for you to get up.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that's really important too, because like in your context, I think when I for those who are not familiar, I've been married before. So when I went through,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, hello. When I went through my divorce, initially my instinct, especially because I was young, it was just kind of like, okay, well, let's just kind of move on. Like yes, this was a very important situation in my life. However, everything will get better. I'm, in my early 20s, mid 20s, or whatever. it'll be okay. But what I realized, what helped me kind of navigate Elder Vivian through that process was what you said, making sure that my friends who had seen kind of behavioral changes in me, or that I wasn't even recognizing, a village is the best.
Yes. And you're gonna need people that's gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have a couple of yes friends, but you're gonna need to tell people you need to get up and wash your tail.
Yeah, that's really good.
You need to get up and go do something else. You need those people in your life that's going to speak truth to you, and be okay if you mad with them for a couple of days, because she'll come around. She'll come around.
If we're real friends, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, one thing I like to say is grief should be a part of you, not the end of you.
Oh.
It's not the end of you, baby.
Yeah.
Even with this COVID, it's not the end of us.
Yeah. That's really good.
If all things work out, and we do what we need to do, and we stay positive, this is not the end of us. It may be the end of things as we know it.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of us.
That's really good.
We create new things. We create new normals.
Yeah. Yeah.
We create new habits.
Yeah.
I bet you when kids go back to school, it's not going to be the same as usual.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as usual.
Yeah.
We would have learned some things since we've been out. We would have learned how to navigate this if this should ever come again.
That's good. That's good. And that's a part, and I'm going to move on to my next question, I promise. But this is so good. This is the part that I think that's super imperative, because even if you're a non-creator, right, or non-creative, that's a term that people are using a lot. I'm not a creative.
Right.
Well, it's COVID is going to create a creative mentality in you, right? And that's what
absolutely
you're going to create a different or a new norm for your life. And a lot of that, Anika said, she said what you said, you need to wash your tail for your friends, you need real friends. But the core is having a network of people that can be supportive to you. And it may be this COVID-19 is the examination of what that is for you. You know what I'm saying? The people who are supportive. I've heard a lot of kind of talk about, if my friend ain't calling me during COVID-19, it means that they're not my friend. No. It may mean that they might be going through their own kind
Amen. Even I tell people, even with some of the teachers, they're saying that the kids are not logging on to do their digital learning stuff. Did you ever think that the parents may be figuring out how they're going to eat, where they're going to live, because they don't have a job?
Yeah.
So it may not be high on the priority list right now. So we gotta consider what people are dealing with.
Oh, that falls into my next question. Grief in COVID-19 and how it looks for everyone. I would contend that grief doesn't look the same for everyone. So can you kind of speak to how are navigating the grief with multiple people in your homes, children, spouse, relatives, whatever?
Well, first of all, men and women are different, as you know. I think there was a book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus or something. We're just totally different to begin with.
Yeah.
So, and then you throw the kids in the mix of that, and you saying these are not the same kids that this is not how I grew up. But my mom wouldn't let me do, baby. We all different. It's just we all over the map, and you just can just say, okay, Lord, this is just the way it is.
Yeah.
First of all, you gotta know that when men deal with grief, they deal with powerlessness. Men used to be powerful, fixing it, being in charge, and this is something they can't fix. No matter how they try, they can't fix this.
Oh no, let that stay there, right there, Sonya. That's good. But that's a good perspective. That if you're not a man, you don't have, because your innate responsibility ain't to fix stuff. That's right.
That's
good.
They're powerless. They're feeling useless, and there may be even some frustration. Some anger, some guilt, some fear. And then for the women, they may feel some sadness. They may be a little more emotional. Typically, not all women are alike. They may feel a little emptiness, guilt, or low self-esteem. And then for the children, they got a whole nother thing going on. They can't be with their friends. They can't hang out. they can't go to the movies like they used to go to. They can't go hang out at the mall. So they're feeling some loss in for themselves. But during this time, like Elder Vivian said, set up a time every day while everybody's doing their digital learning, doing their own thing. She said every day her family during the week, they meet at 10:30 downstairs just to check in and see how everybody's doing.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
I said, that is fantastic. She said, because for her son was in one room, her husband was in one room, and she was in another room. They were all doing their thing, doing their whatever their respective jobs were.
Breathing.
She said, right. And then they wouldn't see each other.
Yeah.
So they made it a point to say at 10:30, we're all gonna take a break. We're all gonna come together. That's been creative. That's developing a new norm. That's a new norm for them. And then with with children, you can say, okay, baby, you're gonna do this, and this, and then we're gonna take ourselves a break. We're gonna go walk outside. We're going to watch a 30-minute cartoon or something on TV, and then we'll get back to it.
Right.
They don't have to work for 5 hours just because they're in school for 5 or 6 hours. That doesn't mean they have to be in school at your house for 5 or 6 hours.
Let me
give the babies a break.
Let me tell you, okay? Because I was over here like, I ain't a full-blown teacher. So like, I don't think we can do 8 hours a day. Because me, and you know, it's also when you're dealing with your kid and you're dealing, especially my kids specifically, I'm dealing with a version of myself. So
right. Tabby is her own woman. You need to recognize.
Well, she don't want to do nothing. She don't want to do nothing. There ain't nothing that you can do about it. You can't punish it. You cannot. I called her the Dennis Rodman of our family. When she needs some time away, she needs some time away. You need to give her some time, and when she come back, she gonna be all right. We started implementing. One of the things we do kind of daily, we kind of move from doing it every day to like 3 times a week, is do a family movie night. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday, Tabby picks a day. Wednesday, I pick a day. Friday, Tim picks a day. And that's kind of our reconnecting thing, because and it's almost it's similar to what did they dining room eating. You know how you eat at the
yeah.
It's kind of one of those. It's kind of one of those things. We don't necessarily eat at the dining table all the time, but we're trying this COVID-19 thing in navigating how people feel, making sure that like their needs are being met. Specifically Tabby's, because she's the youngest and kind of the most emotional one. That connectivity, she needs to be embraced. She likes love. She likes family time. So game nights, all of that is kind of how we've been having to navigate that. So I'm glad that you kind of mentioned like what finding a time for everybody in your home to kind of center. That way you can get a perspective on how everyone is feeling.
And you know what? This is a good time to get to know your kids because you've been running, you've been ripping. I got to go do this. I got to go do that. I don't have time for this. Now everybody's at the house.
Yeah.
Everybody's at the house. And this is a great time for you to get to relearn your kids.
Yeah.
A great time for them to express how they're feeling. A great time for you to express how you're feeling so that they can get to know you as well. Because we've had a rat race life. You know, they got to go to ballet, they got to go to soccer, they got to go to football, they got to go to piano. Oh, now we got to go to church. Now we got choir rehearsal. Now we got ministers training. Now, so now this is a time that you can reprioritize in your own home what's really important. Now is the time. You can't put it on anybody if you don't take advantage of this time.
That's good.
What else are we gonna do? This is a time to get to know your son or get to know your daughter. Play Uno.
Yeah.
See how competitive you all are.
Yeah.
Play some board games. Have some conversations.
Yeah. Or listen to DJ Nice or all the.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Have a dance party, and I can't dance a lick, but I be up there shaking it, honey. I be shaking it.
That's right, everybody. Again, it's a perfect time to go ahead and put some comments in the comment section. If you have a question, feel free to write a comment down. I know I haven't been saying that. Y'all forgive me. I be so excited when we be in the middle of a conversation that I forget that y'all are also a part of it. So if you have a question, feel free to write it down for us. Elder Vivian said, my mentor, she said, I've learned so much about my young adult son, which is a good point, because and people who are transitioning from having a child to an adult child, this is kind of excuse my friend, it's a hell of a transition for them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're not the same as who they were before they left college, and especially for those of them who are having to come back after being in college because of the COVID-19. They're probably experiencing some sort of trauma as well.
Absolutely. They've been free and now they're back at their mom and daddy house. Curfew still rolls, baby. Curfew still happens.
Listen, Pastor and First Lady, they said, listen, we know you in college, you used to do what you want to do, but we don't care. When 12 o'clock hit, that alarm hits, if you're not in the house, you're not in the house.
Amen. Amen. I was a grown lady getting ready to get married. My mama said, you late. I said, What else could I say? But
That's good. Okay, so let's see. We talked about kind of how grief, navigating grief with people of different in different stages, men and women, which is a really good point. Let's talk about some myths about grief.
Okay, so yeah. So one of the myths is time will heal. It may help, but you got to participate in it.
Oh,
you can't just sit there and just not allow yourself to move forward.
What's that faith without works thing?
Oh, is what?
That faith without works thing. Yeah,
that's dead. Yeah. Grief shouldn't last more than a year. I disagree with that. Even though I used to say that grief, you should be back to normal by a year. It all depends. Now again, I'm not saying that you should still be in your bed after a year.
Yeah.
But you are still going through the grief process, even when you return to work. You're going to have some bad moments. You're going to have, especially if you lost somebody during this time. You're going to have some bad time. Even for the gentleman that asked the question, even when you return to work, even if it's a year from now, every day is not just going to be a bed of roses. It's just not how we were created, especially if you are emotional to begin with. And God created us emotional beings. So we have some emotions. Now, whether or not you choose to show them, now that's a different story.
That's good.
Again, when my mom, the first Mother's Day, I had a hard time.
Yeah.
Even around the fifth Mother's Day, it wasn't as hard, but I could still tell that I was still dealing with some unresolved grief. So you can't say that in a
process. You're constantly having to kind of build the foundation of working through.
Absolutely. And even now for my nieces, as it relates to my sister, I can tell when it's getting close to her birthday, around Thanksgiving, or those holidays, I can tell they change in their personalities because they're still dealing with it, even though it's been 10 years. Their mom died when they were young.
Yeah.
And the goal, and sometimes people say, oh, you don't need medication. You just got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, sometimes your bootstrap's not long enough for you to pull yourself up, baby. Sometimes you may need a little help, and it's okay. Yeah. I'm not saying that everybody needs medication, but I'm not saying that everybody don't need medication. So, Elder Vivian,
I don't mean to cut you off. Elder Vivian said, speak to the fact that even if we are saved, we should not have some of the grieving symptoms like sadness and tears. Like, come on. Again,
you are human.
Yeah.
You're not super saint.
Yeah.
So my niece likes to say everybody needs Jesus and a therapist. Sometimes therapists can help you out.
Yeah.
And the goal is not to let go. The goal is to move forward in the process.
Yeah.
The goal is to integrate what has happened into your new normal.
Well, that's good. So we don't have to leave it. We don't have to leave it in the past. We just have to learn how to best kind of navigate.
Right. And now I can celebrate my mom, the day that she died, her birthday. I can celebrate it without all of the grief that I was feeling, because I've integrated it into my new normal. Yeah. And since I'm a Christian and she was a Christian, I know where she is. Yeah. I didn't lose her. She just transitioned to another place. Yeah. So I know where she is. And if I keep living right, then I'll see her again. So we have to put it in proper perspective, and you'll be able to do that as you move through the process.
Mr. Lyons said he didn't think that it would take this long to process. I think he said.
Yeah. And to be totally honest with you, sir, it takes as long as it takes.
Right.
Some people can, bounce back and get back to whatever they were doing. And then there are some people it takes longer. It just does. And it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. But I encourage you, if you get stuck and you're stuck, then seek out professional help. There is nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. Get it. It's okay.
Yeah. I think I'm a suppressor. So like one of the things that I've been dealing with in respect to COVID-19 is that I can't keep busy anymore to avoid how I'm feeling. And what happened when I used to keep busy to avoid how I was feeling, it would manifest in this way, especially when I was exhausted. So I was fine for 6 months, but that 7th month hit and that exhaustion was hitting, bruh, it's kind of like,
right. And what happens for the people that suppresses it, that turns into ulcers. That turns into physical ailments. When you don't allow yourself to properly grieve, I can't do that. I'm a strong person. You got to be strong for the family. That turns into physical ailments in your body. So whoever said that's not true, boo. That's going to be a hindrance to you a little later on.
Miss Angie said, some people say time heals, but in actuality, over time, you learn better ways to cope with loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But I would like to say that some of the things that you can do while you're grieving is express yourself. It's okay.
Yeah.
If you need to cry, if you need to say, you know what, today, team, I don't want to do anything today. And you know what, really and truly, I don't want to be around y'all today. So I'm going to just stay home today. It's okay to say that. It's okay. It's okay to keep up your routine. That's important.
Yeah.
As much as you possibly can, even during this time that we are sheltered in, if you can keep up a routine as much as possible, get up Monday through Friday, basically the same time, get up and do start your day, have your breakfast, have your lunch around the same time. That even helps the children with routines. That's really important. It's important that you basically go to sleep at the same time. You get up around the same time. You eat nutritiously, not a lot of chips and wine and all that other stuff, but try to be nutritious as possible when it comes to eating. Avoid things that numb the pain. Avoid things that make you so you don't have to deal with what you're really where you are presently.
Let me tell you how you can talk that. Because your girl will eat a sleeve of Oreos in a minute. So
come on,
and be like, oh, I'm okay. No, I'm not. My husband says this all the time. Boy, if he sees I'll buy Oreo pack, the double stuffed ones, 2 at a time. If the sleeve of Oreos are gone, let's have a conversation. You okay?
That's a problem.
Let's talk.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. You good. Inbox me when we finish with this. Then some people, you know what? You may want to keep a journal.
Yeah.
Talk about, all of the things that you don't necessarily want to talk about with your family. Journal it.
Yeah.
Get a coloring book. There are tons of coloring books for adults now. I have one, and my great nephew would say, Auntie, can I color in your coloring book? Nope, and you cannot use my pencils. You can get your own stuff. You can sit next to me with your stuff. But you gotta find those things that work for you during this time. You may watch some Netflix, and I have to say that I thought I was just gonna be watching a lot of Netflix. I hadn't watched it at all since we've been out, and I'm like, what is going on? I've been doing other things. I've been working on another book.
Yeah.
Some people, this is a great time to work on your play. Whatever your thing is, this is a great time to do that.
Yeah. But it's also okay if you're not always doing it. Right?
Absolutely. Now, I would say when sometimes when you are going through the grief process, don't make any major decisions like you're gonna up and move to Africa. Because your emotions are all over the place. You're not settled yet. Give you a little time to get settled.
That's good.
Give yourself a couple of years, and then if you want to make a major move, then do that. Make sure you're taking care of your health during this time. Make sure you're taking whatever you take. Make sure you're doing them as normal. Exercising, which I'm not doing that as much, but I got a bike, so I'm working on it. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I get it.
Yeah. So just make sure you are taking care of yourself during this time, and try as much as you can to get into a routine.
Again, we want to invite you guys to write things in the comments if you have questions or you have comments that you kind of want to share to speak to that taking care of yourself. I did read about how because Anika was like, so no chips or wine together. But I think you're speaking to is moderation. Correct. You don't want to down in 2 or 3 bottles of wine.
No, don't do that. I wouldn't suggest it for a number of reasons. One, that's a bunch of calories.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I'm just saying, I'm not negating. If you need to have you a bottle or a glass of wine, that's totally between you and you alone. I don't have anything to do with that. I ain't got nothing against it. Whatever works for you.
Let me tell you what happened, because she's in here. Elder Vivian is one of my mentors, and one time we met up before like things got really shut down. We met up and just kind of walked around the park. And what I realized, because one, your girl can go, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just be, and I was struggling to keep up. But we did maybe, I don't know, it was like over 2 hours, maybe 6 miles or something. But I realized when I came home, that I felt from that. And one of my trainers is a bodybuilder, type, whatever. But when I tell you that release or finding out that created a release, and this is from a girl who said that she wouldn't be able to do a 5K. So I think what you're saying is absolutely accurate. Finding the new, tying into the beginning of what you said about the new normals, and then the new normal. What I found is that I like to work out, or I like walking. I'm not working out. I like walking, and when I walk enough, I get that release. So that if I was feeling some sort of tension, when I come home, like I'm able to reproduce positive endorphins.
Yeah. And walking, they say walking a certain number, maybe Vivian can tell you this number, walking a certain number of miles is the same as taking a certain antidepressant. I forgot the name of it. I forgot the name of it, but so walking helps you, not only physically, but it helps you emotionally.
That's good.
Yeah. I can't see the questions because my niece fixed my phone, so I can't see.
No, I got you though. One of the comments were define what is taking long when grieving, crying, sadness, missing the person, then ask self if it's something you can do about it. That's one of the comments towards what we were talking about. Danielle's on the comment talking junk, so I'm not even gonna read her comment about doing two.
Doing what?
Let me go ahead and move on. I can probably stay do it because I'd be like, we take in our group we go back and we say, hey, I worked out today, just to kind of give it accountability.
Well, you know what? And usually what I've started trying to do is after I get off from work, I will I'll go ride the stationary bike for 30 minutes.
That's good. That's really
Now,
good.
sometimes I don't put the tension in there because that wears me out. But I'll just make sure I ride it for at least 30 minutes. And 30 minutes goes by pretty fast. If you're listening to some good music or has something, that you're engaged in, it goes by pretty fast. So that's what I've been trying to do. But find something that works for you.
We got some people saying that they do something similar, some workout routine. So we got some workout routine people in your comments. Hello.
Let me tell you something. Vivian ain't no joke. Don't play with her. When it comes to exercising, baby.
I've been telling her for 2 weeks that we were going to try to socially distance walk together, and I was like, man, she gonna wear me out. So let me just take this lap around my neighborhood.
Right.
So I'll tell you, let's provide the people with some tidbits of how to recognize grief in this moment for themselves.
So it's basically the same.
Yeah.
There's some sadness. You're sleeping a lot. You are not able to sleep. You are just feeling down and not yourself. Yeah. You can't seem to get it together. You can't seem to get in some type of routine. Even for me at the beginning, the first week or so, I had to kind of figure out what my routine was going to be and how I was going to make it work. So if you're having trouble, if you're still having trouble, and this is like week number 5 or 6, you may be going through that grief process, and you need a little additional support. You need to know that there are counselors that are doing virtual counseling sessions if that's what's called for. If you're not wanting to be around anybody, if you are having some confusion, all of those things that go into the grief process, that could be a part of what you're experiencing now. You're experiencing some grief because remember, you're used to getting out in Atlanta traffic. You're used to dealing with whoever you're dealing with in your office, and you're not doing that anymore.
That's good.
So it's a change. It's a transition. Mm-hmm. And who's to say, even if you are a hostess or waiter or waitress in a restaurant, you're definitely going through transition because you're not able to make money for your family.
That's good.
There are some people that are having to deal with whether or not they're going to have a place to stay.
Yeah.
They're dealing with major issues. So some of that grief, that depression, that sadness, that hopelessness can very well be alive and well. But I would encourage you, don't give up.
Yeah. Don't
let hopelessness set in.
Yeah.
There is another way. You just have to find it. You just have to be diligent about finding what's going to work for you. Because I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying that it's going to happen overnight. It's a process. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And remember, don't forget the kids. Just like you're processing, they are processing as well.
That's good.
They may have their own way of processing. You may wonder, why are they so clingy? Baby, they're processing it. They're trying to understand what's going on. Oof. Why is he all of a sudden wetting the bed again? Baby, they're processing.
That's good.
They're trying to understand what's going on.
That's good.
And you're not talking to them. So they're having to do it on their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you develop this new normal, include your children in the process.
That's good.
All right, we're not going to school every day now. So what we're gonna get up, and what time do you all want to do math? What time do you want to have lunch? It's not that big of a deal. Let them decide.
Yeah.
And even if one day they don't want to do math, they want to do it the next day, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. Their emotional well-being is more important than a math quiz.
That's good.
You got to make sure that they are emotionally healthy, because if they are not emotionally healthy, the math is not going to mean anything anyway. They're not going to be able to focus on schoolwork. You got to make sure that they are okay.
Our residential,
you got to make sure that you're okay. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say our residential EA HR person, Anika, said, be sure to look into your EAP benefits through your company benefits. They should have special services available specifically.
Absolutely. There are some EAPs that will give you 6 free sessions when something major or when you're going through a grief process.
That's exactly how I found my therapist. That's good. Yeah.
So check. And then even on college campuses, they have counselors there as well.
Yeah.
So they are there. You just need to access what you have. And again, don't say that you don't need it. You can do it yourself. That may be true, but you can always use a little extra help.
I agree. Elder Vivian mentioned something about grief versus depression. We talked about it earlier again, but just kind of circle back to it first.
Okay. So again, when I said depression is focusing mostly on you, I don't feel like I can make it. The thoughts that keep running in your head, you know, you're not good enough, you those kinds of things that's happening. And the grief is really when you're focusing on the thing that was lost. My mom died. I am just tore up about that.
No, Elizabeth said she said sorry. It's not sorry. You just want to make sure that these things are kind of constantly being mentioned. The difference between grieving and depression, so that everybody at any phase of watching this this live stream has access to that kind of information. Because you know sometimes people tune in and tune out, but we
absolutely. But let me tell you something. Elder Vivian has agreed to come on again. In a couple of weeks, so we're gonna have her on again. So maybe we'll have you back to do another type or something.
Well, you know, I like you guys, so I would be willing. Hello. Listen, I know I can talk to you for maybe decades. So I'm going to.
How long have we been on?
About an hour. About an hour. So I'm gonna ask my last question, general question, and then we'll have some closing thoughts.
Okay.
And then ask some questions. So at some point, some of the normalcy will return, and I'll be completely honest. Can I be honest?
Can you?
I've been enjoying the slowdown, like you alluded to earlier. I'm a rat race kind of person. A couple months ago, I was working for Boy Scouts of America, where I was working. I went like 25, 26 days working straight, Monday through Saturday, some days, and then I had church on Sundays. So the slowing down process has been really, really good for me. And I'll admit, I've been liking it. Like, I'm somebody anyway, you know what I'm saying? So what I want to know, though, is what should we expect on the other side of COVID-19 when everything gets back to you know, the numbers are down, you know, people are slowly trickling into their return, you know, back to work full time, or, you know, because I mean, to me, it would almost seem like that would be a grieving thing too.
Yeah. Because you're leaving what you've already created at your house. Yeah. You're leaving your normalcy that you have created or planted in your home, and now you're having to go back out, and there's going to be some apprehension. I know, even just thinking about it, I'm a little apprehensive. Okay, so now I'm going to here. Did you touch this? Do I need to wipe this out before I touch? So there's even now, I go to Publix because they wipe off their stuff before they give it to me. So I'll go to Publix and pay the extra. Yeah. So there may be a little apprehension. There may be it's like starting school all over again on the first day. Yeah. You know, you gotta be patient with yourself. You gotta be patient with your kids. And if you're not ready for it, if you're not ready to be engaged in all of those meetings, wear your mask. I'm sorry, don't take it personal, but I'm just not ready yet. I just don't feel like we're at that place yet. You gotta take care of you, whatever that is.
Yeah.
As you move out into another normal, make sure you're taking care of you and taking care of your babies. That's really important. And then decide how fast you're gonna move.
That's good.
You are you gonna just jump back over in the ocean, or are you gonna take it a little bit at a time?
Yeah. And is it safe to say that we may experience some level of like PTSD? I know PTSD is kind of a strong term to use. Right. But
absolutely, because we've been hearing so much. We've been so inundated with COVID. These number of people have died, or this person has it, or this person has recovered, or this person said such and such. So we've just been inundated. It's just been beat into our who we are. So now we're supposed to just walk back into it like everything is normal. No, not quite. Everything is not normal. Yeah. And I may have a little apprehension. So that's absolutely normal. Yes.
So my final question is just, and I know you kind of given it to us kind of in between this time, but as a kind of final thought, can you give us kind of your final thoughts on grief and COVID-19, and then provide us with some practical tools in helping us to deal with grieving in this moment?
Grief is a part of life. We do it. Sometimes we do it and don't even think that we're doing it. We grieve in so many different ways. We grieve so many different things. And this is just one more thing we're having to grieve. Mm-hmm. Don't let this be the end of you. This needs to be a new normal for you. This can be the beginning of something great for you. It's all in your perspective.
That's good.
Perspective is everything. Even with your kids, help them to see how to turn this into a positive. Help them to see how to use this for their good. When you need help, when you need support, get it. When you need to call your village, when you need even professional help, get it. Don't think that you have to go with this by yourself, because you don't. Establish who your village is. Establish who those people are that you can call on at any time. Again, grief is very different depending on your background, depending on your religious beliefs, but depending on who you have as a support for you. But don't let grief be the end of you. Learn how to grieve, and then learn how to move forward. Learn how to call on those people when you need support. To me, every grief opportunity is a growth opportunity. We may not see it at the very beginning, but it is. It really, you can learn something from it. You can grow from it. You can move forward from it. Every major grief loss that I've had in my life, there's something that I've learned from it. And it's all in your perspective and how you use it. Don't let this destroy you, because there's so much more to you than COVID-19, because it's gonna be over soon. Yeah.
That's really impactful. I think this has been a really good kind of conversation about the grieving process, and I encourage those of you who maybe didn't get it at the beginning to go back, listen to it again, share, provide some insight. And before we get into like questions, what I'm going to say that I really enjoyed is this is an intergenerational conversation, right? I'm a millennial. Elder Sonya is not necessarily a millennial.
You're right.
And what happens sometimes, I think, in having conversations with different generations, there's always this perspective that, for millennial, or for in the case of millennials, they don't listen to nobody. You can't tell them nothing, yada yada. Or for a generation that precedes the millennials, it's kind of like they don't want to listen to nobody. That's why they be out here Teddy Riley and stuff, and they be out here loud. But what I like is that we were able to kind of come together with perspective, and I hope, because there are things that from each perspective that we can learn from, right?
Absolutely. Nobody knows everything.
Right. And I hope that we continue to see these conversations develop, because essentially we're processing things from different contexts. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, baby. It's sometimes when I look, I'll be like, oh my Lord, what are they doing? They think that's good? Okay.
Right. And it's without the conversation that we don't gain understanding. And I really appreciate you for allowing me to kind of serve you in this capacity, to kind of bring you to the awareness of some of my friends who may not know how to process grief effectively. So again, if you guys have any questions or comments or anything that you guys want to say, we have a lot of good things in the comments. We thank you guys so much for joining us. And Sonya, I'll give you the last word if nobody else has anything.
It has been my absolute pleasure to do this. I love empowering people to be the best of themselves that they could possibly be. I am by no means an expert about any of this. I just know from my perspective. I would encourage you to do some research. If this is an area that interests you, do the research. You become an expert for yourself. You become an expert for your family, because you know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. It's so important that you take care of yourself, that you take care of your family during this time. Because if you don't, who will? Mm-hmm. And know that I'm praying for you. Know that I want the best for you. Know that we will get through this. This is not the end, you all. This is only the beginning. And I believe it's the beginning of something great.
Yeah. You can follow Sonya at Sonya T. Cruel. You can also follow her on Instagram. She has 2 books out. One of them is Transition, listed right here, and Divorce in the Upper Room. If you have any... Anika said, thank you. Good points. Great to see my Sonya Cruel.
Oh, it's my pleasure, baby girl.
Good stuff from Elder Vivian. Again, we just had a lot of hearts and love out here. If you want to see more content related to beyond COVID-19, go ahead and DM Elder Sonya and again, Elder Auntie Sonya. In her box, there is a millennial checking her DMs, so she will get your information. Okay. Mr. Lyons, thank you so much again. If you need, we'll be having someone contact you specifically just to see how we can best support you. There are a plethora of psychologists that we know that we can refer you to, mental health counselors, social workers who are great. So if you need those resources, please reach out to us. We definitely want to be a guide to anybody out there. And if you know somebody who may need the help too. But again, you can purchase Elder Sonya's books on Amazon for sure. DM her for more content, for more information. And I guess we'll end it there.
It's been fantastic. I am so happy. Thank you so much, Nisi. I owe you dinner or something.
Well, you can always cook for me.
Love you.
Love you too. This is a perfect time, Danielle, to go ahead and switch off. Because I don't know how to end this too.